We thought full-time travel would be a nonstop vacation. It's not, but the reality, so much better.
In the next few minutes, we're sharing the surprising lessons learned that nobody tells you about, and the one thing that's been an absolute game changer for both our budget and our sanity.
We've spent 6 months on the road, and these are our biggest lessons learned. Away we go traveling. Welcome back, or if you're new here, welcome to Away We Go Traveling. I'm Kara.
I'm Gary. We're a full-time, slow-traveling couple who retired early and are bringing you along for the journey.
Let's go.
All right, first up, this was a bit surprising to me, but no one knows or cares where you are.
For real.
I don't mean that in a negative way, but we've been asked so many times by people that are both friends and reasonably close relatives, where are you currently and where are you going next? We get that comment all the time. And it's kind of surprising. You're just not tracked as closely as you would think.
Yeah, good point. I think that goes back to another point we've made in another video too, that you are the lead character in your own life, in your own story, but not for anybody else. And it's okay because it's kind of freeing. I don't mind it.
Yeah, if you're not worried about how you're seen by others, you can do things that you potentially wouldn't do normally. We would never have done a YouTube channel.
No, God, no.
But because we've realized nobody really cares, we're doing this. It's fun.
It is fun. Yeah.
So don't be surprised and don't take it as an offense if people ask you while you're traveling, hey, where are you at and where are you going next? Because they're just not tracking you the same way that you're tracking your own life. They've got their own lives they're living and, they're interested in what you're doing and they'll ask questions about where you are, but they don't necessarily know at any given time what city, country, or state you are in.
Right. So our next big lesson learned, the fact you don't need as much stuff as you think.
Yep.
And that's in travel, that's in life. We did what everybody else did. We had a great house and a lot of things and lots of fun and loved that life too. But when we decided we want to travel, it was a lot of downsizing, a lot of giving things away, a lot of knowing that giving your things away is much more helpful than selling used. Nobody wants your used stuff. So
certainly easier.
It's easier, truly. It's really freeing, honestly, to not have all of the stuff. Because that was a big question we had. What did you do with all of your stuff?
Right.
We don't have it anymore because we knew we wanted to do this for a few years. Our things would have sat in a storage unit. They're just that much older by the time we get to them anyway. So you might as well help somebody else out. And then if we decide to stop doing this eventually in a few years, but we'll get the things we need.
Right.
But I think learning this lifestyle, learning how to survive with less is really amazing because we're not stuck on that consumerism treadmill and we've freed up our lives to have more experiences and less things.
Right. I mean, we packed our SUV. It's full. It's not overly full, but we had a lot of things from our apartment we just didn't want to throw away, things that just weren't donatable. But we found even with traveling with the things in the SUV, we're probably only used about half of it so far. We have a lot of what if items that chances are when we roll back around and finally get back to our storage closet, we'll probably put a couple things back in and lighten our load on the road because we figured out even though we're traveling with so little, we've even used less than that. Once you're used to not having all of this stuff, it gets really easy not having it. And it is very freeing, both mentally and physically, for those of us that load the car.
This guy.
Next up is that this lifestyle isn't a vacation.
Right.
As Kara mentioned, it's not a vacation, but it is significantly more. And you just have to understand that while you're full-time traveling, especially slow traveling, there's going to be things you have to do just like normal life. Cooking, laundry, administrative tasks. Those are things you're just going to have to build into your new routine. Just understand this is not a full-time go, go, go. We're going to be doing something every day lifestyle.
Right.
This is how you live your life. It's a great way to live your life, but it isn't a vacation. And we did a whole video comparing vacation versus travel if you kind of want to see more about that.
So another big lessons learned that we have experienced, and we found this term from a comment in another video, some full-time travelers, so we got to give credit. But the term is called sea days. As cruisers, it's called sea day when the ship does not go into port and you have a day to relax. It's a day where you're not sightseeing. So that is something we've built in to our full-time travel and really embrace that. You can't go, go, go nonstop, museum and sightseeing and this and that. Some days it's okay to just sleep in and maybe watch some movies on TV and do something for yourself to kind of bring the speed down.
Yeah. Take a day off, treat it like a weekend, no matter what day of the week it is.
Yeah.
We've been lucky. We haven't had any illnesses that one of us has been sick where we've had to take time off for that. But there have been times where one of us is just kind of burned out. It's like, man, I'm tired today.
Yeah.
I'm just going to relax, sit on the couch, maybe take a nap.
Right.
So build those into your routine
Mm-hmm.
and it makes your life a lot easier.
And know that it's okay to do that.
Expect it.
Yeah.
All right, next up, and leading right past the last point, routine is hard.
Yeah.
I think I've talked about this now. This might be the third video I've talked about routine. Man, do people crave routine. We don't have the work routine anymore. And I didn't like the work routine of having to get up to an alarm and go to a job and then come home. But it was good structure. And that's been so hard, is to build structure. So if you're going to full-time travel, expect that the routine that you build is going to have to be very intentional and something that will probably cause you a little bit of a concern. Like, how do I consistently do these things over and over? So routine was surprising. It was surprising that I wanted one. And it's been surprising how hard it has been to keep one, because even though we slow travel, we're in a place for a month, at week 3.5, that routine's about to change again. So you got to get back on your horse and be like, okay, what's the next, routine that I'm going to follow? So it's been a challenge.
One of my things was you go from, yay, all this time is mine, to, oh, all this time is mine. Another really big lesson is that home doesn't have to feel that far away. Thanks to all the modern technology we have, like iPads and FaceTime and Zoom and the digital life that people embrace and have available to them, you can still keep up with people pretty much not that differently than what you did before.
Right.
I've had this question just in the last couple of weeks of, how do I keep up with people? How do I keep up with my family? How do I keep up with my friends? So one of the answer that I gave is that because I moved away, it's really my job to keep up with my friends and maintain those relationships. And that's easy to do these days. It's, FaceTime my mom, or I'll text group with my sisters, or I have a FaceTime Monday night movie watching with some of my friends. There's things you can do. That home doesn't have to feel that far away if you use technology to keep those relationships intact.
And we do things too. We travel with some things that sort of make the places that we're at for us feel more like home. We travel with Fire Stick, and previously we talked about we travel with our Wi-Fi lights, we travel with our own router. So when we show up to a place, it kind of feels like our own space already. So for us, we try to make the places we're at as home-like as possible. And then we also, not always great at it like everybody else as an adult. We get busy, they get busy, but we try to reach out to our friends and make sure they know we're thinking about them and do our best to foster those relationships. All right, next up is talking about our long-term accommodations. And for the most part, when we stay somewhere, we try to stay 28 days or more for the Airbnb discounts, which we'll talk about here again in a second. But when you're looking at your long-term accommodations as a full-time traveler, be meticulous, and I mean meticulous,
legit, about
reading the full explanation of the place you're staying. Look at every picture, zoom in, see what's in there, note all of the things that are in there. When you arrive at the location, take pictures, take video, take notes. Anything that's not correct, fix it right away. Day one, reach out to the host, let them know what's missing, let them know the things that are broken, let them know the things that are in the listing that are not in the accommodation, and either get them to repair that, to give you those items, or to give you some sort of discount or refund on those accommodations. Because we can tell you from experience, and we have a video coming about this, but we can tell you from experience that if you let things go in an accommodation without addressing it early, it gets harder later. So just as a precursor, as you're looking at long-term accommodations, you can also read the reviews and read between the lines, because there is a community of basically, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours when it comes to reviews. So nobody really wants to offend the other person on the hopes that they don't get a 1-star review. And then either as a host, you can't rent out your place anymore, or as a tenant, you can't go into a place anymore because now you get this 1-star review and people won't
Airbnb.
People won't let you stay anymore. So everybody's sort of dancing around on the good review thing. So you can read through the reviews and don't worry about the stars so much. read what the words say. And you can read between the lines on some of these reviews, which we have after the fact, once we've read the reviews, have discovered some things that we wish would have known in advance. Read all the reviews, read all the descriptions, read all the house rules in advance.
House rules is a big one. There's usually a manual in there, just in case they list some things on an Airbnb listing that then aren't available. Take screenshots of the listing that you booked so that don't change it afterwards and then claim things. If you do communicate with your host or your tenant, do it through the Airbnb app. Don't go off platform. Always stay in. Do not go off platform.
If they message you on your phone or WhatsApp,
go back
respond with their thing back in the Airbnb app and reply to them there.
It can be a very positive experience. You hear negative things, but it can be very positive. Just make sure you protect yourself and everything will be great.
Right.
So another very big lesson we've learned is about the value of slow travel. Slow travel versus fast travel. Fast travel is we're every weekend going to a different place. Slow travel is more like a month in every place. The three biggest components to that is the money, because, and Gary will cover this in a second about the money break when you do Airbnb for staying in a place for a month. Secondly, we really enjoy the more cultural immersion of being in a place. If you're somewhere for a weekend, you really don't get a good vibe for how the town is, how the vibe is. So we really enjoy being able to see neighborhoods and get more of a pattern recognition.
Discovering new places.
Yeah, discovering new places, meeting people. It's very fun. And then third is honestly our sanity. Because if you move too much, it could get a little overwhelming. So being able to stay in a place and kind of start to build a little routine or have a little semblance of normalcy is really, really good.
Yeah, it's great. With regards to the financing part of it, so Airbnb does give you a break at 28 days. So if you're going to do slow travel, we always suggest you start at 28 days. But what I've also learned is there's a few states out there, but depending on where you're staying, at 28, 30, or 31 days, depending on what state it is, they remove the taxes because now you're no longer a short-term stay like a hotel. They treat it more like a long-term stay.
Like a lease.
Like a lease, right. Like you're renting a place. So there have been a couple of times where at 28 days, it was one price. At 30 days, it was actually cheaper because the state taxes went away. So we have an upcoming stay in a month or two where when I started at 28. I worked my way to 31. The taxes disappeared. But then there was also this anomaly with Airbnb. Every time I added a day, it was getting cheaper.
Right.
And I actually added days to Airbnb and the price kept going down. Right. So it turned out that we're going to be in that location for 40 days because 40 days was actually cheaper than 30 days and significantly cheaper than 28 because the taxes got added back in. So really strange. So don't limit yourself to just a 28-day stay or just a 30 or just a 31. Play around with those numbers, up above 28. You might end up finding a really good deal.
Be flexible.
Flexibility is a key. All right, next up, full-time slow travel. It's actually easier than it looks. There is an amount of planning and sort of decision fatigue that comes along with always having to decide what you're going to do next and where you're going to go and how you're going to get there. And you're also trading some amount of comfort and security of having your own place if you were to just live somewhere full-time. You're trading that situation for new adventures in new locations. You might be comfortable being in your own house all the time and you know exactly what's going on, but you're always experiencing that same location. So full-time travel, there are some trade-offs, but it isn't as difficult as it may seem. We've had a lot of things we've learned, and that's kind of why we're doing this video over the last 6 months. And as we increase our time doing this, we're learning things every day and we're getting better at this every day. Like anything else, anything in life, you practice, you get better at it. So we're practicing on a daily basis how to be full-time travelers. And we feel like we're getting better on a day-to-day basis. And hopefully some of these lessons learned will help you if you're trying to do this lifestyle.
And the final lesson, probably my favorite one, is that this full-time slow travel life is really fun. We are learning every day. We get a chance to see places like we would never have seen. Right now, we're traveling in the US full-time because we still have our dog with us. So she gets to see lots of new places. We get to take our dog to different places. We get to see parts of the US that I probably would never have made it to. So this is a lot of fun.
Sure is.
Yeah.
I look forward to our next 6 months of this adventure.
Yeah. And fun to do together.
It's true. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, thumbs up, like, subscribe, all the YouTube
Hit the
algorithm buttons, comment. We appreciate it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Happy traveling.
Now we're recording again, yet again.
Here we go.
For those in the back, it is.
It is Saturday.
My bad. My bad.
Yes.
Doink. We're going to. I'm just trying to say it and I can't. I just don't have any friends. It makes it easier. Sorry, friends.
You just offended like all 6 of our viewers.
Kara has all of the friends.
our tens of fans.
All right. I don't want to. Unfortunately, I spun you off, and I apologize. That is my fault. So I don't want to self-deprecate ourselves.
They'll go in the bloopers then.
That's fine.
Let me just roll into
Yeah, that's
something
great.
else.
Sorry.
I like when you're funny. Pretty.
Just so sweet.